All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to reveal why that familiar blue and yellow can sitting out in your garage right now is honestly one of the most powerful pest weapons ever sold in America. You probably think it's just for, squeaky hinges or rusted bolts, but as we're about to uncover, the actual science behind this stuff holds some seriously forgotten power.
I mean, what if your absolute best pest weapon is already out there in your toolbox? Let me tell you about an Amish man named Eli Hostetler. The researcher who compiled all these secrets was actually standing in a barn in Ohio when he watched Eli drop a massive, thumb-sized wasp instantly. Literally just a quick 2-second burst from a $4 can of WD-40. Eli didn't even flinch. He just sprayed, and that wasp hit the dirt before it could even turn around. His logic was super simple. A $3 can lasts him 2 years, so why on earth buy anything else? He completely bypassed the whole $300 exterminator visit.
Part 1. Missiles, Science, and Spiracles. To figure out how this is even mathematically or chemically possible, we really need to look at the fascinating science behind what this formula was originally built to do.
So, to understand this, we have to rewind to 1953. WD-40 literally stands for Water Displacement 40th Attempt. A chemist named Norm Larson, who was working for this tiny 3-man outfit called the Rocket Chemical Company, created this low molecular weight petroleum solvent. His goal? It definitely wasn't to kill bugs. It was actually engineered to penetrate microscopic molecular gaps and seal the massive Atlas missile against the harsh rust and corrosion of the Mojave Desert. Think about that for a second. If it can creep into the microscopic molecular gaps of rocket steel, just imagine what it does to a biological organism.
And biology brings us to spiracles, which brilliantly illustrates exactly why it kills pests. See, insects don't have lungs like we do. Instead, they breathe through these tiny little holes located all along the sides of their bodies. Those are the spiracles. These connect to tiny tubes that carry oxygen directly to their cells. So when this formula hits them, it instantly creeps into those microscopic breathing holes and completely coats their internal respiratory system. Now compare that to the expensive stuff you're probably buying at the hardware store. When you spray a roach with WD-40, you actually aren't poisoning it. You're literally drowning it in oil from the inside out. Those pricey commercial roach sprays that use pyrethroids, they take anywhere from 2 to 10 long minutes to kill a roach. WD-40 suffocates them in under 60 seconds flat. And here is the kicker. Because it's a physical suffocation, insects cannot evolve or mutate some kind of genetic resistance to it like they constantly do with traditional pesticides. Part 2. The billion-dollar secret. So if this is so incredibly effective, why hasn't the pest control industry, or hey, even the WD-40 company themselves, told you about it?
Well, the answer comes down to regulation, not some crazy conspiracy. Back in 1950, the pesticide industry was a pretty modest $40 million business, but by 1972, it had ballooned into a billion-dollar juggernaut. Then, in 1973, the newly formed EPA implemented the FIFRA law. This regulation, which was pushed heavily by that booming chemical industry, mandated unbelievably expensive chemical registrations for any product that wanted to claim to be a pesticide.
And that creates this massive legal gray zone. Unregistered products simply cannot legally claim to be pesticides. WD-40 already sells in massive volumes as a lubricant. They have absolutely zero financial incentive to spend, $5 to $15 million per active ingredient just to register as a pesticide. So it means they deliberately and legally stay completely quiet, all while you keep buying those $12 bottles of Raid.
The cost difference here is just absolutely staggering. We're talking about a quarterly exterminator contract averaging maybe $400 to $600 a year, stacked up against a simple $4 can of WD-40. Exterminators are perfectly happy keeping this secret to themselves, because that massive pile of cash represents their livelihood. The information was basically just buried by labeling laws.
Part 3. The Ultimate Pest Hacks. All right, let's get into the good stuff and see how you can safely utilize this forgotten knowledge to eradicate pests around your own house.
Let's start with this awesome secret buried in a 1969 internal memo, which was actually confirmed scientifically by entomologist Dr. Walter Ebling and has been used by Amish carpenters for generations. It's the 1969 cardboard trick. You literally just coat one side of a 4x6 piece of cardboard, toss it in a dark corner, like under the sink or up in the attic, and replace it every 3 or 4 months. Insects absolutely love the corrugated texture of cardboard, so they walk across it, the petroleum completely coats their legs, they can't groom it off, and they suffocate. It works for months on end, and you don't have to spray literal drops of poison anywhere near your kitchen.
Now, for those of you living in older homes, history means gaps, and gaps mean pest highways.
Your main targets here are basement sill plates, window weight pockets, exterior door thresholds, porch ceilings, and crawl space access doors. By popping on that little red straw that comes taped to the side of the can, you can blast the petroleum residue deep into these specific architectural cracks. Honestly, a single afternoon of work completely shuts down those invisible entryways for centipedes, silverfish, and camel crickets.
What about wasps? Well, it's time for the wasp eraser. The trick is to wait until dusk when they're sluggish and all back in the nest. You soak the nest from a safe 8 to 20 feet away, and then just knock it down the next morning. Just ask Margaret, a 73-year-old from Oklahoma. She's saved herself a $280 exterminator quote on her fixed income by doing exactly this, soaking a high wasp nest at dusk and instantly grounding the entire colony with a simple can she grabbed at the dollar store.
This really brilliantly illustrates the sheer versatility of the formula. Think about it. Whether you are completely obliterating ant pheromone trails at foundation entry points, spraying the back of your baseboards to create a barrier to save rare books from silverfish, blasting carpenter bees right in their wood entry holes at dusk, or even safely suffocating an embedded tick so it naturally backs out of your skin without leaving its mouthparts behind, this single solvent adapts to practically everything.
It even extends out to the garden. If you're battling aphids or spider mites, Ohio State University documented way back in 1993 that a highly diluted mixture works absolute wonders. You just mix 1 tablespoon of WD-40, 1 gallon of water, and a teaspoon of dish soap to act as an emulsifier. Apply that in the early morning, and it safely suffocates the aphid colony without harming your plants or the local bees, completely bypassing the need for expensive systemic pesticides.
Now, inevitably, someone is going to warn you that this is a dangerous fire hazard. And yes, the propellant is a hydrocarbon, so obviously use common sense. Don't spray it on a hot stove or an open flame. But remember the golden rule here. It's suffocation, not poison. And the propellant actually evaporates in about 20 seconds. Once that happens, the thin film that's left behind is honestly not significantly more flammable than the common cooking oil sitting in your kitchen right now.
Part 4. Reclaiming your household knowledge. Because, this explainer isn't just about finding cheaper ways to kill bugs. It's really about reclaiming that practical, everyday competence that has sort of been quietly pushed aside over the years.
$12,000. That is the massive amount of money you could conservatively save over a 20-year period just by adopting these simple techniques, using a $4 can instead of being locked into an ongoing quarterly exterminator contract. That is real money that big chemical companies fought incredibly hard through regulation and absolute silence to extract right out of your wallet.
And this perfectly captures the real heart of the matter. We are rebuilding that chain, one technique at a time, one Saturday project at a time. For generations, this kind of thrifty, highly practical knowledge was just passed down from family to family, kind of like the Amish families in Holmes County who have been doing this quietly for 50 years. But over time, we were somehow convinced that we had to pay specialists for absolutely everything. Now, through movements and quiet communities gathering serious steam on platforms with massive, YouTube-sized audiences, people are finally taking that knowledge back and learning to trust their own eyes again.
Which brings me right back to you. Which pest hack are you going to take back this weekend? Will you try the Amish cardboard trick? Will you finally seal up that drafty crawl space door? Or maybe, you'll just keep a can under the sink for the very next time a roach decides to show up. Whatever you choose, you're taking back control of your household and leaving that expensive exterminator contract far behind. It really makes you wonder, what other lost household secrets are just waiting for you to rediscover them?